God bless America. Hello, everybody. I am the Talk Radio Protege. This is the Protege program. Thank you for joining me. Hope that you're all having a wonderful day today. The biggest story yesterday that dominated the airwaves for most of the day was a ex-Trump aide who goes by the name, and I don't have the guy's first name. Hopefully it's in this. Okay, Sam Nunberger. Who had defied a subpoena from the special counsel. He had said he was not going to do an interview with the counsel. He was saying, let Mueller arrest me. He was saying that whatever it was that the Mueller organization, that the Mueller prosecution team wanted to interview him about, he was going to take to the grave. And so, of course, this makes him the number one get on all of the left-wing news organizations. Because here's a guy that apparently has such dirt on Trump and is so loyal to the president that he's willing to take those secrets to the grave. Instead, what happened was apparently this guy gets on these organizations and he rambles for up to 45 minutes. He contradicts himself. He, as Axios says, has a breakdown. He calls Trump and other members of his administration names. He continuously cites this, the guy that they're working for, aka Trump, has a 35% approval rating or some other number like that. Sam Nunberger appears to be what is called a disgruntled ex-employee. And when it comes to people with an axe to grind against a former employer, they automatically become much less reliable as sources. This happened to an ESPN article that was released in 5 parts a few years ago about Oklahoma State University, and all of the sources that they had used for their article were disgruntled ex-employees, players that had been prematurely released from the team, and it caused a lot of people, to my knowledge, to be skeptical of the entire entire article, all of the parts of the story. Now, there's a lot of people that are saying Sam Nunberger was abused by these organizations. That they were abusing a mentally unstable person. As Nunberger admitted on CNN's show with Aaron Burnett, he said he was on antidepressants. He contradicted most of his statements throughout the day. One of his friends told Axios that the anchors were knowingly taking advantage of an obviously fragile man. I don't want to talk about any of that. I think that the writer of this Axios piece gets it right when he says that this is one of the reasons America hates the media, and the reason that this event demonstrates why Americans hate the mainstream media is because of something that the Axios piece points out right here. Sam Nunberger, an early Trump aide who was fired in 2015, but has remained a vocal alumnus. Sam Nunberger has not been associated with the Trump campaign since 2015. This guy is a 3 years old contact. This guy was fired from the campaign before it began. And he's supposed to be the one to pop the lid open on the Russian collusion. I can't help but wonder if CNN and MSNBC bothered to inform their viewers that the man they were interviewing for the Russian collusion story hasn't been associated with the Trump campaign since 2015. If you are scratching your head and making funny faces, I'm right there with you. There is only one world in which this guy must be interviewed by everyone all day yesterday. And it's the world where journalists go to sleep at night and wake up in the morning wondering, hoping, praying, expecting that today is going to be the day that the lid is popped open and the worms come spilling out on the Trump-Russia collusion investigation. So when CNN and MSNBC hear the words, ex-Trump aide, I will defy Mueller, the only thing that matters are the three words, ex-Trump aide. This is a guy that used to be associated with the Trump campaign. Therefore, he can be asked all these questions about Russia. Maybe we can even get him to say some incriminating things about the Trump administration and the Trump campaign. Maybe we can get this guy to say all of the things that we've been wanting people that were formerly and currently associated with the Trump administration and campaign to say. But the fact that disqualifies Sam Nunberg from making any comments about Russian collusion, alleged Russian collusion, is the fact that he hasn't been associated with the campaign since 2015. That's a full year before the general campaign vote. I heard from one source that he was fired before Trump officially announced he was running for president. How do you get hired and fired onto and from a campaign before it ever begins? It boggles my mind how this guy got to be the number one story yesterday. There's a couple of things that are pointed out in this Fox News column that aren't pointed out in the Axios column, and I think they bear some commenting on. Right about here, Nunberg, who was fired by the Trump campaign in 2015, made numerous appearances throughout the day. During the media blitz, Nunberg was allowed to spew distasteful and insensitive remarks about Press Secretary Sarah Sanders. Now, if Fox News is calling it distasteful and insensitive, that means it's the kind of words that if anybody else said them about any other woman whose name was not Sarah Sanders, the media would immediately crucify this person as a sexist, probably racist, probably homophobic, probably Islamophobic, probably bigoted, evil person. But no, Sam Nunberg might have the goods on Trump. So Sarah Sanders is a conservative. Therefore, Sam Nunberg gets to say anything he wants about Sarah Sanders. Now, people get to say anything they want about conservative women in general. All you have to do is look back to Sarah Palin in the 2008 campaign to see that, and her subsequent treatment on shows like Saturday Night Live. These are the kind of people that say calling or wolf whistling at a woman as she walks past you on the street is sexual harassment. But Sam Nunberg gets to call Sarah Sanders a fat... I'm going off of memory. I want to say he called her a fat slut, but that may not be accurate. He definitely called her fat, which of course is fat shaming, and that's a sin in and of itself. But Sam Nunberg gets away unmolested saying these things about Sarah Sanders. The Society of Professional Journalists ethics chair, Andrew Seaman, penned a blog entry about the situation and said it's complicated, but it may have been best and more responsible to tape an interview with Nunberg instead of airing it on live television. Now, what the Journalist Ethics Board, whoever they are, I'm sure they're left-wing, says about this interview, it's not hard to say maybe the media should have done some work to see what this guy's actual ties to the Trump campaign were. Maybe the media should have had this guy on and said, and asked him, what useful information do you have for Robert Mueller, seeing as how you were fired from the campaign in 2015? What could you possibly know about the Russia investigation, given that you haven't been associated with the president or his campaign in at least a year, with the president for 3 years? Maybe they should have done some digging and asked Mr. Nunberg, how close exactly were you to the president? And what is the proof that you have of the comments that you're making? In the video, and I didn't bother to load it ahead of time, maybe I should have, I didn't listen to it, but I did see some of the captions. You can see for yourself, Nunberg makes some pretty outlandish claims. At one point, he claims that Trump got all of his policy opinions from Sam Nunberg. Now, call it delusions of grandeur or call it medical delusion, call it whatever you like. That's an outlandish claim, and maybe somebody in the media should have said, now, what's your evidence that this is true? But apparently, nobody in the media wanted to do that. Everybody was interested in what dirt Sam Nunberg could have possibly had on Trump, and if he had any, he was automatically the most qualified person to talk about the Trump-Russia investigation yesterday. Now, as the evening and the day wore on, and it became more and more obvious that Sam Nunberg maybe wasn't all he was cooked up to be, the media began to let go of their fascination of him. I flashed it on the screen but didn't comment on it. Eventually, Aaron Burnett realized maybe this guy needs to be discredited just a little bit. Maybe we need to do a little bit of reporting to demonstrate that we don't really believe everything this guy's saying. So she says, I've smelled alcohol on your breath. Maybe somebody in the green room should have thought about that before they put Sam Nunberg on live international television. Is CNN show with Aaron Burnett international? I would expect an interview like this would be. This is just another display of two things. First and foremost is the media's obsession with Trump-Russia, with obliterating President Trump, with divorcing him from his base, with possibly getting him removed from office. They will not let this go. Even if Mueller concludes his investigation and says Trump actually did not collude with the Russians the way that we've been talking like he didn't do anything wrong, they're not going to let it go. They will talk about Russian collusion as long as Trump is the president. The other thing is, it's a demonstration of why the American population, at least 33% of them, maybe closer to 50%, hates the mainstream media. Why, and I consider myself one of these people, why we have lost faith in these reporting entities. Because they do things like this. Because they parade a guy who hasn't been associated with the Trump campaign since 2015 as if he is the expert on Russian collusion. Even if I believed that Russian collusion was a thing, I would like to think that I'm the kind of person that would see a fact like that and go, wait a second, maybe this guy doesn't actually know anything. Why did we give him 8 hours of news cycle yesterday? But that's the level of obsession that the media has with the Russian collusion investigation. that's going to do it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you'll come back for future videos. If you enjoyed this one, leave a like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. I hope to see you guys next time. Until then, good night, and God bless.